Okay, I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to share this posting, especially to the people that were affected by this article. There is some kind of Antifa type leftist blog, media, something, whatever you want to call it, company or not company, organization online that likes to find people and try to out them. And I'm going to cover this article. We're going to go over the article and then we're going to go from there. I'm actually going to pull the article up. I'm going to share it, and let me go ahead and pull the article up now while the audience is building. I'm just going to downsize this for a second so you guys are going to see me get real quiet. I'll pull the article up, and then we'll be back at it. So we're going to open a second page here. I'm going to open up the article, and then I'm going to share it to you guys so you guys can see exactly what's going on. This is the type of stuff we're dealing with in the world. You don't really have a voice anymore, and that's the sad part. Is you can't stand up for what you believe in. It's almost impossible anymore to just be true to yourself, to be able to voice yourself without somebody trying to silence you. And that's what this whole cancel culture stuff is about right now. They just sincerely want to silence everybody, and that's the sad part. Um, they try to fight for injustice. They try to fight for people to be able to express themselves and everything else, but yet at the same time, they dox people. They try to out people. There's a number of things that they do to stop people from speaking, and it's kind of counterproductive to what they're doing, because then they just open themselves up to more scrutiny. And on top of, I'm sure they get off on that kind of stuff as well, because it seems like a lot of these Antifa leftist type, uh, it's not even really Antifa leftist type, it's worse than that. This page seems to be a complete Antifa page. So I'm going to share it. Get rid of all this damn pop-up stuff. Share screen, Chrome tab here. So let me see if we're looking at the right stuff. Okay, so here we go. We're looking at the right stuff now. I hope they look at this, because most of the information they got from right here. If you look at this article right here, it's called Shield Wall Chicago. The article was posted 8/7/2020. Right here at the top of the page, immediately you see Blue Lives, Blue Line, Back the Blue Flags, whatever you want to call it, right at the top. And they're burning them. This is the type of group that this is. This is the message that they want to send. They don't support backing the blue. They don't support police officers. They don't support patriotism. They don't support an American life in the American way. They support communism. It's not even socialist. It's not even socialism. It's beyond that. It's much more radical than that. It's a Marxist type ideology, and this is what it is. You have no police, and what ends up happening? Your loved ones that have medical conditions that wander off, that often happen. People, I dated a girl a few years ago. Her father got in the car. His dementia started to act up, and literally they couldn't find him for days. Who do they call? They called the police. The police and OnStar worked hand in hand to track this guy down and get him back to the house. But defund the police. See if that works for you. See if they're there to help people that don't show any kind of support. When children get abducted, and just what was it, today or yesterday in Carroll Stream, they had recordings of a man that was following a group of children through the neighborhoods. What do those people do? They call the cops. Whenever somebody's getting robbed or somebody gets hurt, even in the Atlanta where the police walked off, and in the chop zone and stuff like that, people got hurt. There was a guy that died right on the border of that little chop zone that they set up, and the guy literally died and bled out right there, and the paramedics couldn't get to him to save his life. And they're like, how are we supposed to get to you to help you if you don't even want us in your life? But then you call us whenever something bad happens. So it's kind of ironic that there's groups like this that want to put up these postings that want to attack people that are exercising their First Amendment right by congregating as a community and doing what's completely legal to do. that's a patriotic thing. They don't support that anymore. This is the type of environment that they would like to breed. This is the type of environment that they want to live in. Well, I got news for them. If you defund the police and you don't support the police, and eventually they don't feel like they have a reason to be doing their job, what ends up happening is you have a bunch of people that are true to America. They're true to patriotism. They're full of veterans, prior police, guys that have worked in special security all over the world with the government. There's a bunch of backwoods redneck guys that have done nothing but shoot guns their whole life and get into fights and stuff like that. And they're good old boys. I mean, they're the ones that they're not scared of you. I'm not scared of you. I could care less about what you say about me, because at the end of the day, I'm still going to sleep just fine. I'm still going to wake up and I'm still going to be breathing the next day. And until you take the very breath out of my body, there's nothing that you can do to possibly affect me other than try to harm me. And you may be successful in that one day, but I'm ready for that. I don't carry a pistol on me all the time. There's very rarely will you see a pistol on me. They basically created a bunch of lies in this article here. There's a bunch of stuff that they put up that they absolutely don't even know what they're talking about. This is I don't know if you want to call it more satire, communist type article. It's blasphemy, honestly. I've had a few people message me today and say, hey, did you see that fictitious made up article about you? Absolutely, I did. So this is your first introduction to Shield Wall Chicago, a communist, leftist type. I've never done anything with my life. I've never worked any type of manual labor. I've always had somebody do something for me. My feelings hurt. I need a first place trophy, even though I'm 10th place. And just stroke me and tell me it'll be all right, even though I failed 1,000 times. That's the type of article this is. So burning the flags right on top. Here we go. Community alert. Back to Blue is holding a support law enforcement rally at the torturous CPD Holman Square. Black site at Holman Square, right? Fillmore speaking a Republican candidates and pro-cop right MAGA types. This is no safe space when blue meanies are around the neighborhood. Ooh, us meanies are around the neighborhood. There's no safe space there because we're just going to hurt everybody, right? Not. That's not what happens. We try to bring the community together. We try to support the police officers who are trying to protect the community. And none of us in any form say that there aren't bad cops. We've already been there. We've already went through all that. Tomorrow I will be there at this rally to support them. And that's what I'm going there for, peacefully. A police officer offed himself a few weeks ago, literally in the middle of day, and we're going there to support the police officers that are having to deal with a low morale issue and stuff like that. People are concerned in the community that this is going to keep happening. That's why we're going there. We're not going there to incite violence or anything like that. We're going there to let them know we have your back. We're here for you. We support you. We thank you for everything that you do. And now you have groups like this that are trying to tear people down because of whatever happens in the world, whatever they don't like. You know, it's like they want to be heard. They want to be seen. You need to repeat and chant the things that they want you to repeat and chant. But when you have a voice and you're trying to stand up for what you believe in, automatically you don't matter. You just don't matter to them. There's no reasoning with them. There's no trying to be nice to them. There's no sitting down and talking things out. It's like some kind of disease that was bred in their brain whenever they actually started to develop, that just kind of grew and it spread throughout their body. And it'll never get better. They're always going to have this mindset that everybody else is wrong and they are right. They have to be fixed on this one type of feeling and way, and you cannot change the way that they think. It's like a plague that will not go away. And that's the type of people that run these articles. This is the type of people that get media out. You know, if you guys actually cared, you'd stand up and you'd actually say, you'd be more in the middle about things instead of this type of shit right here that makes no sense at all. I'm not going to any rally. Even the rallies that I hold, these are not my rallies. So you got something confused here where you think I'm directly related to this, because I'm not. I was asked to come help out, a little crowd control stuff, you know, escort the speakers from a safe spot to the stage in case things got out of control. And that was it. I went to pull some security for this. And I said that I have some friends that I'm affiliated with, but they're not direct friends with me. Some people that I know, they're friendly to me, more of like an acquaintance type thing, that went down to Louisville They were going to be there with the 3%ers, but they're not part of the 3%ers, and they're just going to see what's going on. They're going to actually take a look at the entire situation and see, okay, if the police need help, maybe we should be there to help them. There was nothing about going and logging or joining hands with the 3%ers and stuff like that. When you have groups like this, there's no reasoning. And if they can take just a little bit of truth and add a lot of bit of lie to it, that's justified for them. They can go ahead and spread as much lies as possible, and it doesn't matter what you have to say. But for those of you out there that see this article that was wrote about me, and the people that I help sometimes at their rally events and they help me, which are always peaceful, we're going to cover some things here. Now let's get into this a little bit more. So obviously you see the burning of the flags, you see their whole communist type anti-police. This is not a safe space. We don't harm nobody. We haven't got into one fight. We haven't been violent to anybody at all. They're at the Back the Blue rally that was in Chicago off of Columbus and Roosevelt, right by the statue that was taken down, which the Italian community is very furious about because that's a public statue on public land. You let a couple hundred people that are pissed off about a statue, which makes no impact on their life at all, come forward and say we demand that this be removed at midnight at the mayor's house, 3 o'clock in the morning. The mayor removes it. 200 people pressure you that much to get it removed? Why don't you just bring in the police and say, get the hell out of here and leave me alone? Let's go to the community and let's talk to the community and go to a vote on this, because this is not my decision to make. I cannot make that as mayor. But you know what? She was pressured hard and probably was scared because of the people that were rallying outside of her house to have the Columbus statue removed. And that's what ended up happening. God's honest truth, that's what ended up happening. And the Italian people in the community are mad. They said, why didn't we have a say in any of this? Why didn't we go to a community vote and do this as a community like it should be done, instead of you just making a decision because there were a couple hundred idiots outside of your house making some noise? And the sad part about it is it's a lot of young kids that have never experienced anything in their life. This is the cool thing to do now, and that's what they think they should be doing. And they just go latch onto a movement, and they don't even understand what they're latching onto. They just know that it's going to be loud, it's going to be fun for them. They're going to probably destroy stuff and get into fights with people, and that's attracting to them. That's what they think they should be doing. That's not what they should be doing. You should be focusing on your life, building up your education, trying to do something to set the next stone or step up in your life so you can be successful. This is not it. Going out and destroying people's lives, following a Marxist type of movement, a radical type movement like Black Lives Matter. Yes, they matter, but so do brown lives, and so do white lives, and so do all the other lives. I'm not going to segregate, divide, and separate myself because you feel like you need more attention than everybody else. 400 years of oppression ended a long time ago. People have the same opportunities and rights right now. Now, I do agree that in some areas, things that we need to work on, especially the lower class communities. But if we come together, we can work on that. But if you keep saying that you need your own, you need your division, you need your segregation, your name needs to be said before everybody else, your color, your gender, your ethnicity, you've already tuned people out. You're not productive when you do that, and it's not going to change when you do that. It does not work. It has not worked. History says that it has not worked. Yeah, you destroy some stuff. You kill some people in the process of looting and rioting and violence and all this other stuff. You make some policies change. You still haven't changed the hearts and minds of people overall. It doesn't work that way. They resent you more now than ever when you do this type of stuff. So if you think you're making headway because policies have changed, really, all you're doing is making it easier to incite more violence, more rioting, and more looting so you can have your way. And then when when you least expect it, the military comes in and shuts everything down. And now you're governed. Now you're controlled. And now you can look at yourself and point at yourself in the mirror and say, you are the one that created the environment that you're living in, and there's not a damn thing that you can do about it because you made it that. Instead of trying to fix the problem and work with the communities and stuff, you destroy the communities because you want to segregate, divide, and separate people. And it's negating. It's backtracking. You're setting yourself further back and you don't even realize that you're doing it. There are good, honest, middle, right-wing people out there that do want to work on the lower class communities, that do want justice for everybody and equality for everybody, where things may be a little bit different. But it is not like this movement is making it today. This is completely trash media right here, and it just does nothing but this just rips people up. It tries to out them, and that's not the case here. We're all good people. We have not incited any violence at all. We have had nothing but peaceful rallies for backing the blue and trafficking children, trying to draw awareness to that. And a lot of people that were against us before are now coming to our rallies, and they're like, you know what? We like the fact that you're not just focused on one thing, and I have a voice here. Maybe I don't support backing the police, but I do think we need to do something about trafficking children and stuff like that. So I can be that voice on that side and stand with you proud, and not have a back the blue sign or something up, and just know that I'm kind of neutral in that aspect or whatever. I'm going to support your rally because you're doing something that I'd like to honor. The other part, maybe I don't. Or maybe you do want to back the blue, but you don't want to do anything about the child trafficking. You have a voice. You can participate in both. You don't have to feel separated or segregated. You can even tell people, I don't support that, but I do support this. The good thing about coming to our rallies is that's what it is. What it is. There's no violence. There's no fighting. There's none of that. And if it does start, I try to stop it immediately. If I can. I can't stop everything. But at the Back the Blue rally on Columbus and Roosevelt, there was probably 20, 30 Antifa, a couple Black Lives Matter people, but people with special signs and skulls or whatever it was on it, unicorn, this and I don't know what it was, symbols, and they're banging on their pots and pans while we're having our peaceful rally across the street. We're not bothering them. And then all of a sudden the yelling and the screaming starts. The veterans turn around. The people that are patriots that are in the crowd turn around, and they're yelling and screaming back, but they're not going over there and doing anything. And a lot of them weren't even yelling and screaming. They were pointing, or they were flipping them off or something like that. And then these idiot Antifa people across the street would try to move closer to the fence, move closer to the fence. And this is the part this article doesn't tell you about. It wasn't anybody going and looking for trouble. It was them trying to incite some kind of like uproar of people and stuff. And it would have been really bad because there were so many of us and there were so little of them. Now you got police officers all over the place. There were TRT officers there, which in the article, they don't even use my explanation of TRT officers correctly. They blow this whole thing out. They don't spell my name correctly. They don't get my contact phone number correctly. They don't have any of the stuff correctly. Or correct in this article, which is pretty sad because it seems like they just were a fly-by-the-seat article posting Antifa, left-wing, whatever, snowflake media page, and they just threw it up without even really doing any kind of hardcore research to figure out if they had facts, which they don't at all. So the who's who of the Back the Blue. Here are not so lovely faces that attend the Back the Blue event on Saturday, July 25th at the X-Monument of the dead racist colonizer Columbus. The following is a brief analysis of their message and rhetoric, their goals for their campaign and actions, and some of the general trajectories of their movement we feel is important to observe the movement and well as note some of the key players. So first off, right off the bat, so now we are not so lovely because of what we believe. I mean, I do stuff for everybody of all colors. It doesn't matter who you are. I give money, I give food, I give everything. I stop, I talk to homeless people. It doesn't matter what it is. So this initial statement right out the gate is just complete nonsense. And those of you that have been following me for a long time know that I don't divide, segregate, or separate anybody based on color or any of that stuff. I don't talk racism. I don't do any of that. I believe women and men of all colors are very beautiful people, and they have the right to believe in what they want to believe in and exercise that as they want to exercise that without hurting or harming other people. I don't understand what this initial opening statement is. It's complete trash. Again, we feel it's important to observe the monument and well as note some of the key players. The organization that created this rally is Back the Blue Events on Facebook. They are a grassroots movement to support law enforcement officers. That's true. They have recently received a surge of energy as a reaction to the demonstration experienced by the police and their supporters after the I can't even freaking talk right now. Decolonize the Zigong event in Chicago and the defund the police movement more generally. Their crowd was full of maskless MAGA Trump heads, which that's probably true. A lot of them are Trump supporters, and they are maskless. They are exercising their constitutional right. And regardless if you like it or not, or you believe all the information, it's their right to do that. There's nothing to stop them in a protest type environment to do that. Their speakers ranted about right-wing cultural issues and about how much they hate their opposition. Of course they're going to. It's not just right-wing cultural issues. It's just issues in general. To add right-wing into something that is an issue just makes you look more of an idiot just by trying to state that, just trying to straw man or just grasp for something that you can't even grasp, which includes Antifa, the Marxist mob, Lori Lightfoot, and Kim Foxx, which Lori Lightfoot, mayor of Chicago, if you like her, you like her. If you don't, you don't. I personally don't care for her. I don't think she's done very much for Chicago. She's only been here for, what, a year now? And it's a disaster. It's gotten worse. Kim Foxx, I think Kim Foxx is worthless. She's completely worthless. And the reason I say that is because so many people fall through the cracks with her. She does not do any justice for the criminal justice system. I personally have been affected by her decisions. I had a few girls steal my car, literally. Remember back in like February, March or whatever, 4 14-year-old girls stole my car, crashed it on I-90 outside of Chinatown. 2 girls were knocked unconscious in the front seat. The 2 in the back fled the scene, all African-American girls, not discriminating on color, but telling the story how it was. A 15-year-old girl originally drove them to the gas station. Now, my mistake was when I got out of it, I worked right across the street. My key fob fell out of my pocket, and I had a really baggy hoodie, and it fell in the cup holder. Now, I kind of, was going to get in there, get my Diet Pepsi, and get back out. I crave Diet Pepsi. And when you're at the end of your shift or something like that, sometimes, stuff like that clogs your mind and you don't pay attention to what you're doing. So I hurried up, got out of my car, went and got my Diet Pepsi. A couple guys in front of me in line, got my Diet Pepsi, came back out, and I'm looking, car's gone. What the heck happened to my car? Well, my car was just parked right there. And it took me a second to realize, oh crap, somebody just stole my car. So I call the police. OnStar shuts down the system, but it's too late. The car's already crashed. It was raining real bad out. The 15-year-old girl that was with those 4 14-year-old girls stole the neighbor's van, drove down to the gas station, let the 4 girls out. They ran inside to steal chips and candy and stuff like that because it was kind of busy. The gas station attendant didn't know what was going on. I walk in. They walk out. They get in my car. It's a pearl-colored Chevy Malibu, just gorgeous-looking car. And they take off, speeding, trying to get out of there, right? They crash the car. They total it. Now, these girls have had multiple offenses against them. Theft, robbery, stuff like that. Talking to the police officer that was in charge of the case, he said, or the detective, he said, man, I'll go over there and try to talk to one of the girls and try to get the story. And the mom answers the door, get the fuck out of here, you fucking piece of shit cop and everything else. I ain't got to show you, my daughter ain't got to tell you shit. Exactly the reason why these kids are the way they are. Their parents don't raise them. They don't raise them. They don't give a shit about them. And it is what it is. Nothing got done. Kim Foxx let all 4 girls off the hook. And they have like robbery, theft, battery, Grand Theft Auto or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. They have all this stuff going on now. Now, not Grand Theft Auto, a Grand Theft, I forget what you even call it now. It doesn't matter. The 4 girls stole my stuff. This is multiple offenses that they had. No juvie, no making the parents pay for anything. Just let them go. This comes after the lead of Jussie Smollett, where he creates this fictitious crime. He pays 2 fairly decent buff guys to put a noose around his neck, cover him in bleach and everything else, say, Donald Trump, this and that, and make it look like he was attacked based on his gender preference and his color. Pays these guys to do it. And then it comes out after he's lied on multiple police reports over and over and over again, which is a felony, and he pays his way out of it. He gives the state a bunch of money. Kim Foxx lets him go, off the hook, no charges, sweeps it under the rug. And then they show a trend of letting people go. Now, I don't know if that was a direct correlation to what happened, them having to try to cover it up, but she doesn't do nothing. The police officers absolutely despise her because the criminals, even these children that could be taught a lesson or the parents be taught a lesson, she didn't do nothing. She just lets them go. Oh, the jails are too full. Just lets them go. So it is what it is. I mean, you wonder why people don't like Kim Foxx, because she doesn't do her job. Now you take the difference between her and Stephanie Hype Moss out in Rockford, where they just had a protest that turned violent outside the courthouse. She showed up, did her press conference the next day, and she said, we arrested 35 people last night. You know why? Because you're not going to put your hands on police officers. You're not going to be fighting with people. You're not going to be blocking public roadways. You're not doing that here. It's not going to happen. She's an African American state's attorney that is a bombshell. She does not play games. You do that stuff in her town, and you're going to jail. What happened to Kim Foxx? Did she just fall apart and just decide not to do her job? Because she obviously ain't doing it. So that's why people don't like Mayor Lightfoot. That's why people don't like Kim Foxx. Because they don't do anything. They cried about their statue being taken down. You're right, because it was a public statue that should have been a public vote. Not just because some idiot showed up outside of Mayor Lightfoot's house and said, our feelings are hurt, he's a racist, everything else, take it down. That's not up to you. It's up to the community, not a couple hundred people that are loudmouths that don't have nothing to do with their life. So what they didn't talk about at all is the history or why Columbus was significant to them. Their solutions for the problem of gun violence involve more cops and keeping people locked up in Cook County Jail and epicenter of COVID-19. They did talk about making the city great again, though, and voting Trump-Pence in again. That this was a spectacle for their dumb white suburban MAGA supporter base. Sounds like an intelligent article to write. Sounds like this whoever wrote this was probably had some kind of like 5th grade English education. That's exactly what it sounds like, because this is trash. I mean, I'm not even smart enough to do a lot of this stuff. I am, but I'm not, and I could have done a hell of a lot better than this. This is complete trash. There was no solutions by locking people up more. It was by actually standing up for justice, not letting people go that shouldn't be let go. That's what a lot of this was about. A lot of this stuff is just complete made up, phony baloney stuff for their website. They did talk about making the city great again. You're right. We want it to be better. We realize the city is never going to be Republican ran. We hope it would be, because it would be different. It would be a lot different. Children wouldn't be dying every single day. We have innocent African American kids every day, every week, that just get killed aimlessly, and nobody does anything about it. These groups here, they don't stand up for any of that. They're not out in the street asking for people to stand up for the children's lives. They don't care about that stuff. It doesn't sell. It's not the media that attracts the attention. It's almost like a conditioned type environment where they already expect kids to die. The black on black violence. They don't support any of that stuff because it's not anything that sells. It's a conditioned, accepted environment, and that's just how it is. That's what they accept. So they won't write articles on that, but they'll write articles on police brutality. They'll write articles on the 10 men or 9 men that are killed every year by police officers, but they won't write articles on or get in the street and stand up for the 114 people homicides July 4th, or not homicides, but shootings, where there were probably 20 to 30 of them, somewhere in there. I don't know the exact numbers that were homicides, all in one weekend. They won't stand up for that. Or the 87 the week after that, the 65 the week before it, or the 40 to 60 that happen on any given weekend. Children that are just hit by stray bullets or caught in a crossfire while some guy pulls up and tries to take some other guy's life because of gang violence. They do nothing about that because they know it won't stop. They know with the people that we have in play, it's not going to change. So they can't do anything about it. You can't out somebody or dox somebody that doesn't really care if you're going to dox them or not, doesn't have anything to dox. But somebody like me that has a career job, that has a good life, that's an American patriot, that cares about all people all over the world, but won't be led astray like sheep, they can't have somebody like me talking, putting on rallies and stuff like that, being strong for the community and a voice for people that may be too scared to get out and do that. They want me out. They don't want me to have a voice. They don't want somebody that's strong-minded and strong-willed to be out there fighting for something that they honestly believe in. However, we don't all believe they are harmless organizations at all. As you will see, people in the Back the Blue movement, both online and in person, have threatened violence and have connection to far-right militias such as the Three Percenters. You can also see a number of militia-looking types with no badges displayed mingling with CPD in their speeches. They use dog whistles to communicate their deeper intentions with supporting the police, most obviously with reference to the X statue, a symbol of colonization, and indigeneity of myth of discovery. They also focus on gang violence, a classic failed war on drugs, talking point in which their solutions are nothing but increased policing, the logic that led them to mass incarceration of mostly black folk and other people of color. It is our opinion that they know this and they know Black Lives Matter is showing the world how irrelevant and harmful their worldview is. Hence their expressed position of ideological opposition to BLM and perhaps related groups. Ideologies like anti-fascists and anarchists who oppose them in the streets and the socialists who oppose them in elections, they never take seriously the goals, demands, ideas of the movement for Black Lives Matter at all, such as Chicago, the demand for CPAC. This is why it's also important to unravel a lot of what their speakers are saying so that we may better understand their group's internal language, goals, and trajectories. There is no reason for you to understand anything on our internal language. There is no internal language. We're not a radical group. We're not a Marxist group. We're not some kind of right-wing extremist group. We're just American patriots that are backing the police officers. That's what it is. There's no internal movement. Hey guys, newsflash. You're not going to find anything out about us that we're not showing you. We're just patriots. Hey. These guys are idiots, man. If anyone has any additional juicy info on any of these individuals or groups they represent, please email us at shieldwallchicago@cryptolab.net. I'm an open book. An open book. You'll find nothing on me. I'm a patriot that doesn't incite violence. I don't go looking for violence. I dread even having it show up. I was dreading the Antifa people that showed up at the Back the Blue rally in Chicago. I'm thinking to myself, why? Please go away. Please, nobody get hurt. Nobody do anything stupid. And there were some people on our side that responded to their ignorance and they tried to get violent with them. There was actually a couple of the older veterans and ex-police, military, whatever they were, that wanted to go over and start stuff because the young kids kept running their mouth and they wanted to just, show them what the older crowd can do. And I actually went up to these guys on my side and put my hands on them and said, look, hey, brother, can you please just turn around and focus on what's going on in front of us? Don't go over there and do that. Stop. If you go try to incite violence, I'm going to ask you to leave. I'm going to ask Director Brooks to have you leave. Don't do this. I turn them around, get them back in the crowd. People come up to me and say, thank you for doing that. We don't want to be like them. We don't want that type of stuff. And I walk the line all the way down. Whenever people start yelling and screaming and wanting to act like they're trying to jump over hey, turn around and back this way. I'm going to ask you to leave if you keep doing this. I'm not having this right now. And you can see me if you get the actual video of the videographer that was out there. I'm through the crowd doing this the whole time. Hey, focus over here. Don't worry about those guys. The whole entire time. No, we don't want, just let me go over there. Come on, man. No, over here. You need to focus here, not over there. If you keep doing it, I'm going to ask you to leave. It's not going to solve anything by stooping to their stupidity. Stay here with us. This is important. That's not important. Those idiots over there are just making noise. That's it. So I kept it peaceful. I kept everything under control. There was a guy in our group. He was a tall, bald-headed guy with a little small mini microphone thing, and he was shouting stuff out over the crowd and stuff like that. And he seemed to be a good dude overall. I mean, he might have been one of those a little bit more right Republican type deals or something like that, but he wasn't even really like an extreme right wing. He just kind of had like his own little thing going on where he was chanting stuff. And we had a black guy walking through the crowd. He had a vagina costume on, and he looked like he wasn't with us for sure. But he wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't bothering nobody. He wasn't harming anybody. He was very peaceful from the very beginning. He was there before any of the other couple Black Lives Matter people or the 20 or 30 Antifa type people were there. He was there first, and he was just being very peaceful, very quiet, recording, kind of getting down in the middle of everybody and taking pictures and stuff like that. He wasn't doing nothing wrong. So the police came in and they removed him once, and I seen what happened, and I went and spoke to the police officer, and I said, if he comes back in our group, please don't touch him. Leave him alone. And he came back in, and when he came back in, he was mingling in the crowd again. And Director Brooks came over there and kind of put his hands on her shoulder and was going to walk him away. And I said, no, please, Mr. Brooks, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's not doing nothing to nobody. No, he's not with us. Yes, it is annoying that he's in this costume and he's trying to like probably ruffle a little feathers, get people to talk to him. That was his whole purpose, but he wasn't violent. I said, please walk away from this guy and leave him alone. Just let him be. I know he's not here to hurt nobody, but I really hope that you just leave him alone. So it got to the point where they left him alone. They weren't trying to take him out of the crowd or anything anymore. He was very respectful. We even stayed and talked 20, 30 minutes afterwards, asked some questions, kind of like a little Q&A back and forth. And it was very peaceful. There was a Black Lives Matter girl that showed up there. There was the guy in the vagina costume that showed up. Big old tall kind of buff guy showed up on a bike, and he came there all in my face talking to me and stuff like that. Very peaceful. The guy that showed up on the bike, he kept interrupting me over and over again when they would ask me questions. And the actual girl from the Black Lives Matter, her little crowd that she was with, and the guy with the vagina costume, they actually both looked at him and said, how is he supposed to answer anything if you just keep interrupting him? Like, let him talk. So it was very peaceful. We got some very good points off. They all said they pretty much respected me for being neutral in the whole thing and not being too right, not being too left, actually acknowledging that there is some work that needs to be done in the lower class communities, that we do need to start building this up to actually get a lot of this violence and stuff to disappear. You know, this is what the type of stuff that patriots are about. It's not just about backing the blue and trashing Kimberly Fox and Mayor Lightfoot. It's about actually making a change. But if you don't come and hear the message and receive the message, you're always going to see stuff like this and think that we're some kind of radical movement, and we're not. It's not at all. It is not. There's an underlying message that you don't see because you're so used to trying to grasp onto the extreme stuff. You don't hear the stuff that's going on at the lower volume. That's why I stay and I put in my time to explain things that people may not see on the stage. And they actually respected what I had to say. We exchanged phone numbers. Another young man came up and said, you know what? I'm not Antifa. I'm not Black Lives Matter. I'm not even, Back the Blue. But I've been listening to what you have to say. And I think that you probably should be one of the speakers because you speak different than the rest of the crowd. And I said, you know what? Because I'm not up here to point fingers at people and stuff like that. I'm up here to talk about what's actually going on and not an agenda-based, driven type message that I'll let you know that I think there's a problem. I'll let you know that I think that we need to start working on things and my ideas on how to do it if you give me the chance to do it. And you'll see that I'm not like extreme right-wing people. I'm more middle right than I am anything. So this website of how they portray this group and me, it's complete trash. I mean, it really is complete trash. This all gathered via publicly available footage that the Blue Lifers themselves upload to YouTube for all to see their stupid faces. There's also a full video of their event on Sputnik Media. This is the event rally page at Back the Blue hosting at the Freedom Square, Holman Square Black site. Here are their scheduled speakers, and you can come back to this and see it whenever you want, but there's no reason for this. About the Black site, which has been a hotbed of illegal detainments and torture committed by CPD and special units. Obviously, it's a page that's going to gear people to, trying to believe whatever kind of extreme they want people to believe. Who's in Back the Blue? They got my face up first and foremost, which is not even correct. This is not even my name. It is not Robert. I don't know who Robert Passo is. I have no clue who that is, and maybe one day they'll find that out, but it's definitely not Robert Passo. They've got some Facebook link here. I don't even know. Can't even begin. This is my YouTube channel. The specimen. I'm not even. They can't even acknowledge me as anything. The Specimen uploaded multiple videos to YouTube about his July 25th Back the Blue event. First of all, it's not my event. I only supported the event, including one where he did a virtual check-in before he does a security detail as part of the TRT defense. TRT defense is like some kind of Chicago SWAT type thing. I'm definitely far from some kind of Chicago SWAT type thing. I was asked to come in and just kind of help out with security, make sure everything stayed chill. And if I had to act more than just kind of reminding people what the event was about, I could do that, but that was not my focus. So where this detail of TRT type event stuff came on is, again, I wish I was that brave and I'd go out there and be this TRT guy and just take on the whole world. That's not what I was at all. I was just some plain guy reminding people that, hey, we have a message here. Can you please participate in the message and not worry about the idiots across the street banging on their pots and pans with their dollar store wooden spoons? That's what that was. An independent security group, in which he says was requested of him by Back the Blue event organizers, which that is true. They asked me to come out and kind of help men walk the people from the stage or from the staging area to the stage, and in case there was like a little bit of a more rowdy crowd. And that's clearly what I explained. I don't know where they got all this other stuff, but yeah, not me, not this guy. I don't even know who this name is from whatever they found. So, but supposedly that's my name. Anyway, that's news to me. Maybe I should get my ID changed. In the same video, he says that some of his crew went down to Louisville to join the 3%ers to counter the NFAC. It wasn't so much a counter. I don't recollect the words that I exactly said. I do know that I said some of my friends, which they are acquaintances, they're friendly acquaintances, and I know some people. Am I directly affiliated with them? Somewhat, but not really. They wanted to go see what was going down in Louisville, and if they had to help keep peace, that's what they would have done. Because you have somebody like Grandmaster Jay, which is a phony to begin with, he calls himself this trained military guy that only black people are allowed in his group, and they're armed militia. They are prior veterans, and they are going to make sure that African American people get justice for everything that happens, and white people are not allowed to join, but they can support, they just cannot join. Their initial video popped up on social media when they were back in the woods away from everybody, claiming that, oh, how come the Boogaloo Boys and the 3%ers and everybody else ain't here to counter us or whatever. It's because you didn't announce that you were there. Second of all, you showed up on the backwoods streets of somewhere else between some trees where nobody could actually see you. And the people that were in the vehicles while you were marching with your weapons that were jammed and your slings that were hooked on wrong, were not even terrified of you. You guys walked right up to the cars, and a guy had his arm out the window like, oh, these idiots. And you went right up to him and said a bunch of stupid shit, and the guy didn't even care. He wasn't even afraid of you like it was a staged event. Nobody really cared that you were there, honestly. So we wanted to go see what they were about. So the people that I talked to said, we're going to go down there and we're going to see maybe the police need help. Maybe it stays peaceful. Let's just go find out what happens. Patriots that are wanting to make sure the community is safe in case all hell broke loose, right? So Grandmaster Jay and his 5,000 people that were supposed to show up didn't show up. Grandmaster Jay and his maybe 500 people showed up, and they had weapons, and they shot themselves. They had an accidental discharge that they claimed was somebody that was a little exhausted, and he went to go take a knee, and his weapon jammed on the ground, and the bolt slid forward and shot 3 people. Well, first of all, why was your weapon on burst? Should have never been on burst. If you're any kind of serious, not going to be on burst. Second of all, the actual charge of the piston coming forward doesn't fire the weapon. It only puts a bullet in the chamber. And if you were serious about what you were doing, you would have already had the bolt charged forward and a bullet in the chamber with it unsafe, ready to fire. But that wasn't the case. So you had it in the back position. Somebody kneeled down. According to him, when it bounced, it chambered around and it shot 3 people. That's not how that works. It charges forward and it puts a round in the chamber, but you have to physically put your finger on the trigger to pull and make the firing pin fire. Those weapons don't fire just by chambering around. So this goes to show you even further the type of people that you're dealing with. They are non-educated when it comes to firing weapons. They haven't really used weapons clearly. Grandmaster Jay is probably somewhat of a hoax himself, because 4 years ago he was recorded on a politician type stage saying all lives matter, not just Black Lives Matter. Fast forward 4 years, now he hates white people and he's trying to create his own armed militia that are all prior veterans. And the video footage pops up in the middle of Louisville while his own people are recording him. You can't even make this stuff up, where he's taking his weapon out of the vehicle and he's setting everything up. And he openly admits to the camera, hey, man, I'm just doing what I got to do. I got to get paid. And they move on to the next part of the rally. I mean, this dude's getting paid to do this stuff, just like half of these Antifa idiots out here. I mean, it is what it is. So this is who we were going to see if they were actually serious. Man, they were there. They showed up. They had their weapons. They were heard. They demanded justice for Breonna Taylor, which a lot of people don't even know what happened with Breonna Taylor anyway. Breonna Taylor was asleep in her home. Her boyfriend was there. The police went and got a judge to sign a no-knock warrant because they were looking for somebody or something from somebody that she was affiliated with in the past. They went to the home. They say it's a no-knock warrant, but they say they knocked anyway. Some of the neighbors say that they heard, they heard knocking, but no names announced, no identification on who was there. But needless to say, Breonna and her boyfriend were in the bed, and they heard what was going on. They jump up, they start putting their clothes on. The police break in the door. Her boyfriend fires through the door from another direction, not knowing what was on the other side, striking one of the officers. They return fire. Breonna Taylor gets hit. She wasn't asleep in her bed. There was a return fire because they were fired upon. And all of a sudden, it's the police. The police need to be in jail for all this, for doing their job, for doing what was signed off for them to go do, and protecting himself in the process, because they didn't know if Mr. Walker was going to keep firing back. They did what they were supposed to do. So if you want justice for this type of stuff, if you want these types of things to change, then you need to go get a no-knock warrant, or you need to go get an actual setup to where you need to actually go after the judges and stuff that make these rules, or go after the people that implement these rules. You don't go after the police for doing their job. I mean, what am I going to do? Stand there and let you fire at me while I'm doing my job? It's my job to be the police. You're affiliated with a guy that trafficked drugs. We don't know if he's at your house. We don't know if you're still receiving his mail and stuff here or not. So they went to go check things out. They just wanted to go kill Breonna Taylor. That was not what happened. A lot of people say, oh, they went to the wrong house. He should have been down the road 10 minutes. No, that's where they wanted to go. There was a reason why they went there. She dealt with a scumbag before. She took his mail. They wanted to go see if the drugs or him was there. It just so happened he wasn't there. The situation happened in an unfortunate way, and unfortunately, an innocent woman is dead. But now there's a number of things that can be taken away from this. What are you going to do about it? It's not the police officers you go after. It's the judges, the people that make the laws, the community, whatever you need to go to the city council or something like that. The community is not the problem. The police officers are not the problem. They're only given so much power to do what they do by the actual people that run the community. If you have a problem with policies and the way police officers do their job and stuff like that, you show up at the courthouse. You show up at the city hall or city council meetings and stuff like that. You show up at, if you want to go protest outside somebody's house, Mayor Lightfoot's not going to be the one. Show up outside of that judge's house. Make enough noise so that judge won't sign the next no-knock order. There's a number of things that could be done here, but it's not going after the police. So where this whole mindset is on how everybody wants to rip all this stuff apart and point the finger at somebody, they're doing it in the wrong way. It's counterproductive to getting anything done. So the NFAC guys went down to Louisville to demand justice for Breonna Taylor. Actually, before that, they said a bunch of other stuff that they were going to do that they didn't do any of it. They went down there to demand justice for Breonna Taylor. So whoever was in charge down there said, look, it's going to take us probably 6 months to recreate the crime scene and look back into this, but we will do it. We hear you. We're going to do what you asked us to do. Well, they demand and say, we're going to be back here in 4 weeks and we're going to make a citizen's arrest if something's not done. If we don't have more about what's going on, we're going to make a citizen's arrest. Well, that's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that you're going to show up and make a citizen's arrest. What are you going to do? Turn them into the cops? The ones that you don't like, the ones that you wanted to defund, the ones that you want nothing to do with, you're going to make a citizen's arrest and turn them into the police? Or are you going to take them and harbor them, kidnap them, whatever it is that you're going to do, and then you're going to have charges out against you and you're going to have a whole federal team coming after you? I mean, let's be real here. These are the people we're dealing with. It makes no sense at all. It's a bunch of clowns that run this show, and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Um, Here's a picture of me with one of 3 Republican aldermen. And on his Facebook, he makes joke posts about protesters getting run over by cars and frequently posts COVID-19 conspiracy theories where he cites pandemic and argues the Democratic Party may have created COVID-19 to take Trump down. So some of that I believe in. Some of that's actually true. What the whole thing is about jokes, posts about protesters getting run over by cars, that is completely false. That is not what I said. And this is exactly the type of media that you deal with when you get involved with these type of idiots. What I said was, I posted a picture of a big old truck running through a protest, right? That's what it looks like initially, but if you actually pay attention to what's going on, it's a truck that's getting attacked by people. And he needed to get out of there. And he hit some protesters, and you see one body going this way, another body going this way. And I put on there, the heading that I put on there was exactly this. If you're stupid enough to play in traffic and not get a permit to do this type of stuff, and you're going to protest and block public roadways where people travel, you're stupid enough to get hit. It's not a joke. There's no joke about that. It's facts. If you don't have a permit to be in the road protesting, you don't have the right to block that road. That is it. Bottom line. That's why they give you the ability to buy permits. If you don't have the money or you don't want to fund the permit, you can express that at the courthouse and they will give you the permit, and you could just tell them where you're going to be and they'll make sure you're safe. That's the benefit of having the police around. They pull security on the roads to make sure you're okay. Even if you want to defund them, they're still there for you to protect. They're still there to protect your right to express yourself. If you want to be in a roadway, get a permit. That's what that was about. This is the type of stupid stuff that happens. So we move forward. There was no joking about that. The COVID-19 conspiracy theory stuff, I think most of us out there have our issues with COVID-19. The WHO says one thing. The CDC says something else. Tony Fauci says something else. We got doctors all over the world that are using hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin and zinc to actually cure people. Within days, they almost show no symptoms. They're completely cured. There's a number of things going on in the world that make things look like a pandemic. And it just so happens that Trump has been doing nothing but winning since he's been in office. And now all of a sudden, the Democrats have the biggest problem with him the last year before somebody else has to get elected. So what else could you do? I mean, it's not unfeasible. It's not even irrational to even drum up something like that. Even if I was just a person that was all about conspiracy theories, which I completely hate, I could still see why somebody would think that. It's not irrelevant. Oh, I mean, whatever this is here, 318-442-7444, possible cell phone. That was years ago when I was in the military in Louisiana. Try again. Not even close. Here he is at the rally. He's taking a photo with Alderman Nicholas Sposato of the 38th Ward. Pretty good dude. I mean, really, really, really good guy. And here are the event organizers of the Back the Poo event. Again, degrading the police just because that's the type of people they are. Shit people. Left to right, which they don't even have the names correct, which is the sad part. These people obviously didn't do any of their homework when they just threw this up and tried to get it out as fast as possible to gain traction. The day before, or the most traction the day before the Holman Square rally. And here they are trying to out everybody. Just, here's their Facebook. Here's a phone number. Here's this guy. This is his name. Here's his YouTube. Go attack. Go attack. I mean, it's complete idiots, man. You can't have a voice around people like this. And then they'll never come to you and talk to you one-on-one. They got to put it on social media where they can be behind the keyboard to be a little warrior. They got to have 10 or 20 of their friends around them or more. They'll never come to you and talk to you one-on-one. They're a bunch of pussies. It is what it is. Then there's some information about Ashley here. They say Ashley's the founder of the Back the Blue Chicago, and she also runs the Facebook. She has had family in the police and the military. She said she organized this event because she was appalled at all the police getting routed at the X statue, she is perhaps the main media person of the crew, appearing on interviews saying, "We'll go anywhere, little village, south side, spread the message, support law enforcement." This is Tina speaking. She proudly wears red, white, and blue and MAGA hat, speaking next to Ashley and Christine. What's wrong with any of that? There's nothing wrong with any of that. Christine also helped organize this event, but she spoke only for a moment at the rally where she pretty much just introduced many of the speakers. Right? Seems like a pretty outstanding thing to do, show support to a rally that you represent, and you work the rally. So I don't see what the problem is with that. This is the FOP cop, union boss, is the one who begged his fascist crush Trump to send in the feds, and indeed they did, with a surge of additional 150 federal agents from ATF, DEA, FBI, DHS, and the U.S. Marshals to assist in gun and drug arrests in Chicago this last week under Operation Legend. In this speech, he first cautioned cops to use more discretion and be a little more human in interactions with protesters. What's wrong with that? It seems like a pretty logical thing to say, especially right now. He's trying to say, look, guys, deal with people a lot better. He then goes off on how law and order defines civilization and keeps it from mob. He urged people to push back on Democratic politicians. He loves taking shit on Preckwinkle, Kim Fox, Lightfoot, and even says Tom Dart is too liberal for him, referring to the warden of a jail that has overseen 7 COVID deaths due to negligence at Cook County Jail. I can't speak on much of that because this is him taking pictures and doing all this. I am being told the coward mayor plans on caving to the anarchists and will have the Columbus statue taken down. I mean, that's what she is. That's what she does. Here's Catanzara the night the racist statue got taken down. He and perhaps 30 of his drunk, plainclothes cop bros got extremely aggressive in the faces of a crowd that had gathered to watch. He represents the far-right Trumpists of the law enforcement. This is ridiculous, man. This is completely ridiculous. This is a complete lie. I mean, he does represent the right, but the way they're portraying this guy, yeah, it's the type of media this is. A complete trash. Like I've been saying, from the trash media. This is Mancow. He's a radio voice. Very, very popular, famous guy. He definitely stands out amongst the most of the crowd. He is a patriot. He's pro-America. He does not like the Democrats. He does not like Antifa. He will call it like it is, and it is what it is. We are at war right now to him, and that's exactly what he thinks. He's very boisterous. That's anybody can be that way. He doesn't go out and harm people. He just speaks about all the injustice that's being done, not necessarily to a specific color, but to people in general, society. This is Sargis Sangari. He's a retired lieutenant colonel, infantry in Iraq and Syria. Current veteran, so am I, and also Iraq. He is currently running for Congress as a Republican for the 9th District in Illinois. He gave a bizarre speech at the July 25th Back to Blue rally. The dude's new. He's trying to get better at this. It was a little off, but he hit some good points. I mean, you got to give him a break. He's trying to get better at all this. He's trying to be more of a politician and learn to speak better, and not so much that grunt infantryman in him that's wanting to come out. So there's a reason for that. He actually has a long-winded vendetta against Antifa. He believes the YPG, who are Kurdish, autonomous, and feminist revolutionary movement in Iraq, Syria, who fought ISIS in Syria, civil war, are paid actors by the Russians, and they are trained Antifa. I mean, he has got a good point there. We've had paid people do work for us, and other people pay people to do work for them since the beginning of time. Look at the Mujahideen, that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party kind of came together to create and fund to push back the Soviet Union. And we would have completely lost the Middle East if that hadn't went down. And we funded that for almost 10 years, and they saved us. And we used them. We paid a militia type environment to come in and help us where we could not. And they knew the land better than us. Their fighting strategy at the time probably would have been better than ours. this is a tactic that's often used. So it's not anything that's outlandish to think this could possibly be what's going on. I mean, it's if you know anything about life in general, you would see that that thought is not necessarily that out there. It's actually a logical thought. Um, Never does he take seriously the rise of the far right extremists and racism, fascism in the context of this country, but seems on board with specific angle to demonize the movement to stop them. And he continuously parrots the narrative that Antifa are the real fascists. Well, they are. I mean, they're more fascist than anybody, especially when they start creating groups like blast your local racist, get people fired from their jobs and stuff with no actual real information that's based upon that. They're just a terrorist type group that wants nothing but destruction, and that's what they're about. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, that's what they are about. The cross is in his motorcycle club logo. Club logo is of the typical cross crusader type, not the triple hashtag of the Iron Guard. So it's not clear whether there's actually a connection between the two. Specifically, there's a definite possibility that they may be out there August 15th. Zanguria is also the CEO of the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement, which is a group that advocates and supports for Christian Assyrians in Iraq and Syria. On the website, there are random people commenting that they are ready to go fight in Iraq and Syria for the cause in unspecified ways. There are a lot of people around the world that think it's an honor to go to Iraq and Syria and fight against what's going on there. There are white people, black people, yellow people, brown, whatever, purple people, whatever. There are people that know that's where a real fight is at. And if you're in any type of military mindset, militant mindset, to where you want to defend innocent people or fight for some type of justice, that's like one of the most ultimate places to go fight. When I tell people that I spent 15 months in Iraq in a war zone where shit's going on all over the place, they're like, damn, dude, I could never imagine something like that. I didn't have to imagine it. I lived it every single day. When you see people die, when you see the type of life that some of these areas, these people live in, and how just how sad it is, you never forget that stuff. When you see the type of torture and destruction that the two different types of religions over there bring upon each other, Sunni versus Shia, and how it doesn't have anything to do with if you actually really did some harm to somebody or not. It's sectarian violence. It's one group versus another group, and they could be doing nothing wrong to each other, but it's just because they believe different that they try to kill each other. I was in the middle of all that, and it's no joke. So whenever a person talks about the ultimate form of being a soldier or something like that, being over there and fighting for something, fighting for a cause, there are people that are ready for stuff like that. They think that's their life mission, is to go fight for something in a physical battle type environment. And there are specific people that are extremely good at that. And it is what it is. I can't make excuses for those people. So if there are, statements like people are ready, they're ready to go, they're ready to fight. They are. There are people here in the United States, patriots, veterans, non-patriots, that are ready to fight and ready to go. They're ready for all this to break apart at any moment and take it back, because that's what it's looking like. And pages and media sets like this, or media pieces like this, are exactly what tear and divide and rip people apart and try to make people believe this phony, fictitious stuff that's being put out here just because it's a trash website. It really is. There's a lot of fake stuff here, a lot of stretch, straw man type stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. Um, he does have a very militaristic mindset, and I actually love that about him, because that's what he is. And this is how he came up to spend as much time as he did in the military, and then bring a lot of that to real world environment, especially a place like Chicago, could benefit or make it very bad. You don't know, but it's not working with what we have. On August 3rd, he interviews Ashley Ramos of Back the Blue events, where they talk about fighting the rhetoric of defund the police and discuss plans to continue holding rallies to support police during the next few months. So there's a campaign. Here's the links. Mark Curran, the hateful ghost-like apparition, has been a prosecutor for 30 years, was also a sheriff of Lake County, Illinois from 2006 to 2018. He is a Republican nominee in the 2020 United States Senate election in Illinois, facing incumbent Democratic Senator Dick Durbin. He angrily riled up the crowd with zingers like gang members are dirtbags, scumbags, truly evil people, and Antifa are bad actors. It's really a battle of good versus evil. Okay. I probably agree with most of that. We're going to storm the gates of hell. You know where hell is? Hell is in the mayor's office. Hell is in the governor's office. Hell is in Springfield. Hell is at Dick Durbin's office in Washington. We got military people. Lieutenant Sargis Sandoval. He will also be speaking on August 15th. Jimmy Tillman, great dude, radio voice, underground radio. Actually really brought the crowd to life. African American guy, pro 45 supporter, down to earth, loves everybody. Jimmy Tillman of the Martin Luther King Republicans and the Heritage Action for America, a conservative think tank. He praises Trump for bringing Operation Legend to Chicago. He has a podcast also called Jimmy Lee Underground, where often he plays Trump speeches. So I have nothing to say about this guy. This guy is a very nice guy. I actually like this guy a lot. This speaker, whose name we do not know yet, started off with a well-received All Lives Matter, then went on to talk about people's right to disobey a monarchy of Governor Pritzker's executive order for masks. Why did people just sit back and let the governor do an executive order on wearing masks? Democracy is mob rules. This is tyrannical time. We don't have to listen to Adolf Pritzker. This is thinly veiled hate speech on Pritzker's Jewish ancestry. Also in the picture is a guy who was mingling with Sangiri, perhaps another Legion of St. Michael MC member with a very sketchy looking electrical union Chicago vest. This guy was just a sound guy. He was just voicing his opinion. That's what he was. He's just a good dude, good-hearted guy, good patriot. Maybe he's set in his ways a little bit. That's what he was. I mean, he was. I didn't agree with everything the guy said, but I don't have to agree with everything the guy said. He actually tried to come up and answer some of the questions at the end of the rally, and I seen that he's too stern and too set in his ways to actually answer some of the questions. So I kind of stepped in and said, can I please talk? Because, you know, when you don't let people talk and when you say your opinion is the only one that matters, it kind of pushes people away and they don't want to hear what you have to say. So I could see what was going to happen with this little interview at the end, where other people couldn't really get their voice in because he was just so hyper and wanting to get his point across. I was like, let me talk, because I'm actually going to hear what people have to say and make note of it and actually let it weigh on my heart and my mind and let people get that message across to me. So can I finish this interview, this conversation with these couple people here? And that's kind of when I took over and he went off and did his own thing. And we were actually getting somewhere. We were actually monologuing, bouncing back and forth, actually vibing with each other. And it was a good conversation. So I can see why some of the stuff he said was a little bit of an issue, but I agree with most of what he said, actually, though. It is what it is. This is Jeff Mulefelder. He's running for state representative in the 19th district. His dad is a Chicago cop. At the rally, he said that Black Lives Matter doesn't care about black lives and that Antifa are the real fascists. True facts. I mean, 100% true. Because if Black Lives Matter, just like these OG guys in this neighborhood, what was it, this past weekend or weekend before, where they had that video footage recorded, where they went out on the streets and they ran them out of the neighborhood and said, how come when our kids are out here dying and they're out here shooting each other up, y'all don't come out here and say anything? When it has to do with a cop, you're the first ones that come out here and raise a shitstorm. But when it comes to anybody else's life, you don't give a shit. You walk away. You don't want to come out and protest your own kind from doing stuff like that. It's right. If it mattered, it wouldn't be so much of a condition type environment of saying, 7 kids died this weekend. Did they matter? Or was it just the George Floyd that died and got 4 televised funerals, a golden casket, a patriotic flag delivered to the family when he was a career-long criminal his whole entire life? He held a gun at a woman's belly while all his homies and stuff robbed her. hurt a bunch of people, tons of stuff like with drugs and things like that. He put a lot of people's lives in danger his whole life. And then when the actual body cam footage came out, the dude said he couldn't breathe from the time they pulled him out of the car. He was having a problem from the very beginning. Did it have to happen the way it did? No, it did not. It did not have to happen that way. It was very poor judgment. That's why the guy's locked up. That's why people are getting justice for this, right? There's supposed to be a court hearing and stuff, and people are saying if it doesn't go their way, there's going to be hell after that. Well, it's some of the stupidest things that incite people now to do stupid stuff. The other night, it was a 20-year-old guy from Chicago, ended up running from the police, and he turned around and shot at the police and missed, but they shot him, put him in the hospital. They didn't kill him, they put him in the hospital. So when you shoot at the police, you're supposed to expect nothing back. So that's what you're saying by that message. About 100 people showed up and started looting all of Chicago. They started busting in stores, destroying stores and stuff like that because this kid got shot. So that was their call to go start destroying stuff because the police defended themselves, didn't kill the guy, put him in jail. This makes no sense. It really makes no sense. There's nothing logical behind any of this. I didn't really get to see this guy too much. I think about this time when he came up is when I started noticing some of the veterans like kind of raising their voice a little bit and start to speak up more and more and like yell over. The Patriots were like yelling over there at the Antifa people for being idiots and banging on their pots and pans and trying to incite stuff. So I was actually started walking the fence line more during this, trying to get people to stop focusing on them and start focusing on the message. And there were a handful of times where I had to break stuff up and constantly tell people, look, I'm going to ask you to leave if you don't focus on this. We're not here to fight with people and do all this crazy stuff. So this guy here, I heard some Republican judge, Pat O'Brien, is running against reformist Kim Foxx for state's attorney. Although he claims to be apolitical, his platform is about sensationalizing gang violence and defending, not defunding the police. His demeanor of a no-sense, tough-on-crime type. Although Kim Foxx has dragged her feet in the eyes of many and kept people entering into the COVID-infested Cook County Jail, she is the reformer who has made the substantial policy moves to reduce the number of people who are incarcerated pre-trial through bond reform. What did I say earlier? She won't put nobody in jail. I mean, she just doesn't do her job at all. So everybody just gets let go, even before all this COVID stuff, just completely failing at her job. Frank Coconut, this guy was invited to speak because he's a very vocal member in the Italian American community who wants you to know that he loves Christopher Columbus. He claims it was a hate crime to take down the statue despite Columbus representing the history of the stolen land and the attempt of genocide upon Native Americans. He also gives speeches looking really confused about why the younger folks don't really buy the discovery myth. His Facebook is full of idiotic one-liners where he calls Lightfoot and the mob a bunch of terrorists, but also he outs racist characterizations and false histories regarding indigenous people in regards to interactions with Columbus. His website is a joke too. Look, from the beginning of time, we've been taking over land. We've had white people as slaves, black people as slaves. That's how the world was actually built. That's how a lot of these civilizations and stuff were brought up, is by forcing and willfully building communities, going and taking other lands. It's been like this since the beginning of time. Am I making excuses for it? No. But to say that, you know, your life isn't benefited by this great land, you'd be a fool to say that. I'm not making excuses for Columbus coming over here and saying, hey, you know, all the Indian people should have been, not that he was coming over here and saying, but not coming over here and saying all the Indian people just inhabit this land and then we'll just stay right there in Europe, and then black people will just stay in Africa and stuff like that, and Asian people will just stay over in China and stuff. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes, you know, what was it, around the time the Portuguese and Catholicism, Catholic law and stuff started taking into effect, where people were doing more slave trade and all this other stuff and actually starting to move out and take different territories. That was growing. That was growing communities, but it was also tearing apart communities as well. I get that. That's a history that we have to deal with, and we're going to have to see for the rest of our lives. And I hear you on that. I can honestly say I hear you on that. but I cannot do anything about that now. I live the life that I live. This is America. I'm a patriot, and that's what I stand for. That's how it's going to be, bottom line. I don't know very much about this guy. He's a Republican candidate running for Illinois State Senate in the 49th District. His campaign endorses pro-cop events on Facebook, including Pig Parade in Oswego. My God, man. Holding a parade during a global pandemic. I expect nothing less of someone who claims to be a campaign coordinator for Trump 2020 on his Facebook page. His Twitter is basically just a retweet account for Trump. He is scheduled to speak at the Homan Square Black Site event on August 15th in Chicago. Um, you know, it's funny that they'll point out this global pandemic and people are trying to do stuff during this global pandemic, but Pritzker can send his wife down to Florida on a plane and everything else while everybody else is locked down and we're not supposed to be flying or anything like that. He'll take off up to Wisconsin and Michigan, do his golfing events and stuff like that, be seen without a mask, people taking pictures and stuff. But they don't say nothing about that guy. They don't say nothing about him and the stuff he does because he feeds right into all this baloney. It's you live your life the way you want to live your life. If you're scared, then go home and be scared somewhere. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, and I'm not trying to say what we're doing is the right thing to do. But each one of us have to take accountability for our own actions. If you are worried about getting sick and you don't think you'll make it, stay home. Bottom line. Tracy Wright. Tracy is running for Congress as a Republican in the 2nd District. She says in regards to Antifa at the ex-Columbus statue, we don't negotiate with terrorists. She also said, I defend the Second Amendment and I defend the police. And this is my message to President Trump. Whatever you're planning to send to Chicago, send more. She also strongly opposes the proposed gun taxes in Congress. I didn't find anything wrong with her. She was actually a sensible person. Mark Vegas, this guy says that he talked to a buddy, the chief of staff of Mark Meadows at the White House, who had a message to the blue, we got your back. He said was deployed multiple times to Baghdad as a civilian between 2007 and 2010, and that he communicated with the White House that our city is a war zone. Absolutely correct. Mark is also notably the mystery man behind the communications of former corrupt Governor Rod Blagojevich, who strongly advocated for his release by writing op-ed pieces, working with Rod's wife Patty, and used the connections he made working in the Department of Defense to get attention of Jared Kushner to appeal to Trump to get Blagojevich out of prison. That's all his. I mean, if that's what he wants to do, that's on him. I don't really know too much about that guy, so I can't really speak about that. So I just move on. Interestingly, he mentions what many other speakers also do, that the Democrats are part of slavery, as evidenced by their annual fundraiser being of President Jackson and Jefferson, while Lincoln is the name of the Republican fundraiser. This is a common theme amongst Republicans who don't seem to understand at all how political parties' goals and ambitions have changed over 150 years since the Civil War. Tom McKenna, a former Chicago cop who was at the 68 DNC police riot, he said, I'm back and can still swing a fucking nightstick. Just the ravings and inciting of violence by an old cop who has been on the wrong side of history for 50 years. The guy's tired of what he's seeing. He's tired of what he's seeing. He's tired of what he's seeing. And then he's back here now and he's tired of what's going on and the destruction of our community. So that was his message. There was nothing wrong with what he said. It was very patriotic. It was letting people know that if I need to, I can still do my job as a retired police officer. Ron Onesti, this is one spoke representing the Italian American Police Association and Joint Civic Committee of the Italian Americans. They don't have nothing to say about him. Amelia Kasem is running for the 41st Ward Republican committeeman. This is a real estate agent and is scheduled to speak at the Back of Blue rally August 15th. She recently spoke out about some bullshit about how science shows that it's safe for children to go back to school in the fall despite the certainty of the spread of COVID-19. She is a lifelong NRA member. Okay, there's nothing wrong with what she said. There's a lot of people believe that. She's not the only one. And I applaud her for being an NRA member. Anthony Beckman is a Norwich police officer who also served with the elite SWAT unit. the Northern Illinois Police alarm system. He's running in the Illinois 10th District State Senate. On his Facebook, he really goes in on the communist plot to keep people home during a widespread pandemic. He is scheduled to speak at the August 15th event in the Back of Blue event. Here comes the cops. So tons of riot cops doing the Abbey Road. We're making them tired. Lots and lots of cops. Not sure who these goons are. It's hard to tell if they are third-party militia types, private security feds, or just undercover cops. Maybe a combination. They were very interested in watching the counter rally and looked poised to act if called upon. There were some off-duty cops there. There were some retired cops there. There were some TRT agents, which are like the Chicago SWAT side. They were there. They came in to check everything out, and then they left. This guy seems to follow around John Cantazera. Above, you can see him side by side. They're friends. You know, he's a friend of his, and he likes his signs that promote John for mayor and Pritzker sucks, which a lot of people believe that. There's nothing wrong with what he said. It's a typical thing. It's not abnormal. Be wary of this individual if you see him, because he threw a punch at a protester. He had an iron cross on his shirt. After this pathetic one-time punch, the cops pushed the counter-protest back on the sidewalk and let this guy walk. Okay, so here's the deal. I was right here by this fence down here, and he was standing right here. What ended up happening is this idiot back here in the green hat, the one in the very, very back, walked forward to the fence. I don't know if it was on that side or if it's, but there's a guy in a green hat and a green shirt. That may not be him. He may be more over here. But I was right here by the fence. And I'm walking this fence line. The fence line goes, it kind of goes down in a circle like this, and then it comes back around. And the Antifa idiots did is they walked from over here down the road, came around the fence line, and they're down here at the end. And I'm at the fence when all this stuff is going on. And this dude is at the fence as well. He's I don't know what he is. You know, one of the Antifa guys comes up, white dude, no mask, no nothing on, yelling and screaming, "You're a sheep, you're this, you follow the Republican conservative, blah, 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 blah." And then this guy says something back to him, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, right? So I start moving my way to this guy because I'm going to shut this guy down now, even though he's a pretty decent-sized dude or whatever, and he's very, very angry. Like I said, there were a few shouting matches that were going on, but I stopped them right away, and I started moving in front of this guy right here, moving closer to him, strategically placing myself so if I needed to get out of the way, I could get out of the way if something went down. There are police right here blocking the two, and there's a fence. So I step up, and just as I step up, the dude in the green spits at this guy, and it lands right on his boot, the Antifa idiot from the other side. So this guy does kind of take a swing at him because the guy came real close to the fence and spit right on him, right? So this guy does go to swing and completely miss at him. If somebody spits at me, I'm going to swing and knock the asshole out too. You don't do stuff like that. That's completely disrespectful. But luckily he missed, and I stepped in right away. Hey, no, 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 no. Get out. Move. Get away. The police pushed these guys back across the street, and I stopped this guy right here from going forward anymore and kind of said, hey, that's not what we want here, man. That has nothing to do with what's going on here. Quit. And he turned around and he went back to focusing on what he was focusing on. You know, they don't tell the story of what happened because they got to show, they actually have to create this environment where they want you to hate the people that are there instead of actually telling the truth because they're idiots. This is like I said, a trash media write-up on exactly what happened, which is not exactly what happened. God bless our police. Batman on a fountain bike, on a mountain bike, covering every part of his body except his mouth and nose. Guess where he's at? Not on the Patriot side. MAGA hats chants were number one. There were Hispanic people here. There were African American people there. There were Asian people there. There was a couple Middle Eastern people there. They were all on that side to be patriots. I mean, it was great. Here is some Hispanic ladies for Trump. This guy right here was very loud. He did have a little, a microphone type thing or whatever where he kept chanting stuff out. He really was nobody. He was kind of obnoxious, but he was just saying what he believed in. He was even interrupting us sometimes, which was kind of annoying. Uh, Having the speakers interrupted. This guy, the tank top, was a very aggro, threatening violence until he actually got close enough to do something. Next to him is one of the organizers of the event, as outed by whoever Robert Piasso is in a previous photo. This is not an event organizer. She's not one of the three ladies that were up top. So again, completely trash article. She doesn't even look like the three ladies that are up top. I don't. These people did a shit job putting this together. I tell you what, this lady looks nothing like the other. Even different hair color, different shirt, different everything. I mean, what an idiot! And whoever Robert Piasso, I don't. Whoever this guy is not even. They're portraying this to be me. It's not even me. I'd like to meet this guy. Tell him he's pretty famous. This nut job was threatening violence from behind the cop line. I do agree. This guy got out of control a couple times. I remember this guy discreetly because the third time I went up to this guy to told him, because there was a kid over here. There was two kids, 18, 19 years old, and they're looking at this guy and they're doing this across the street and everything else, and they're shaking stuff at him like they're gonna try to beat him with it or something like that. And they got the best of him. He finally broke and he started acting upon it. And I would get in front of this guy, and the third time I told him, if you keep playing into this stuff, you're gonna leave. And about that time, one of the event organizers was walking up to kind of see what was going on, and I had to explain. I just pulled this guy back away from this police line because he's acting crazy, like he's really feeding into what these young idiots are doing. And I told him I was going to ask him to leave if he didn't turn around and quit, and he did. He let it go. I mean, he did what was asked of him because I don't let stuff like that happen. It's not going to happen when I'm there. If I have to jump in and get hit, I'll do that. But I don't want something that I'm supporting and I'm asked to help to get out of control. So I remember these incidents. But the thing is, this trash Shield Wall Chicago posting is exactly that, trash. They won't say any of the good stuff about what I did to keep all this stuff from actually happening. Nothing. This is the scene from the Louisville that same Saturday where about 40 or 40 or so 3%ers showed up in full militia garb, automatic guns out. This is where, again, whoever this person is, the name's not even consistently spelled right. It's spelled different up top, and now it's different here. And I don't know what these people are doing or who this person even is. They went to counter the NFAC Black militant action to demand justice for Breonna Taylor. Many Black Lives Matter protests went as well and bravely got in the faces of these white supremacist 3%ers. They automatically have to be white supremacists because they're armed legally and trying to make sure the community is okay. Where this dude right here went up to the cops, and this lady right here, they're actually more of like the leader types. I remember seeing videos on this guy talking to the police down there saying that we're going to listen to whatever your commands are. We're not here to hurt nobody. We're just here to support you if you need support and help the community. Outside of that, we want nothing to do with any kind of violence. And this lady as well, I think she's actually the leader down there. Other random comments on the Back to Blue Facebook event page and the Back to Blue Twitter handle. If you look up, there are plenty more. Pretty much every time they organize, there are comments where they discuss inflicting violence on protesters. There are several idiots on every single page that talk about violence. We don't support that, and we shut them down. And eventually, if they keep doing it, we block them from the page because that's not something that we want part of our movement. We don't want this to be a radical or violent type movement. There will probably be a time and place for that in history, but that's not anytime soon. It's bringing the community together and trying to solve these issues before anything. There are people that want violence, but We're not part of that, and we don't support that. Good Denzians of Dystopian, Twitterville, I have decided to go to Chicago and stand with Black Lives Matter. Not that Black Lives Matter, the Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. This will be my second riot. The first was my marriage. JK, I'll leave in 2 hours and we'll report back. This guy is just somebody that was offering information. We don't know this dude. I don't know who this guy is. I don't support the way he talks. This is not something that we do. If he wanted to peacefully go and attend a Black Lives Matter event to kind of see what's going on, gather information, whatever it is, he should have went very quietly and not told anybody. That would have been a person that's very serious about gathering information peacefully. They would have just showed up and said, okay, I'm going to be part of the rally, gathered their information, figured out what they needed to figure out, and leave. This is just probably somebody that wants to ruffle some feathers or something like that, or make himself seem bravado, but he's really not. So this is not something that we actually support. If anyone has any more information regarding these poor saps, please send us an email at sidewallchicago@cryptolab.net. Well, if any of you guys have any extra information on any of these poor saps or these white supremacists, as these people call it, feel free to send them some information. But who the names and how they put this together is super poor, and the names aren't correct. They don't notice how they don't say anything bad about the African American man, but they talk trash about everybody else. That's the type of group this is. Unfortunately, this is probably one of the trashiest media pieces, and I have no experience in media at all that I've ever read. It's very low quality page. It doesn't have a lot of pop to it at all, and it's just trash. It is what it is. Most of the stuff in here is completely inaccurate, and they didn't even tell the story the way the story should have been told, because they're actually trying to get a point across, and it's an agenda that's full of lies, and the names don't match up. The way it's not accurate. So we're gonna step out of that, stop screen sharing, and I'm back. So it is what it is. I'm here to talk to you guys, to be here to be fully open and honest about the entire situation. If you have any questions at all, come forward and talk to me about this. I'll answer any of your questions. If you want to know the truth, 100% the truth, I have no problem telling you that. But when you look into groups and stuff like this, Shield Wall Chicago, this is an Antifa type, just completely destructive web page that doesn't want people to come together. Their whole agenda is to lie and divide and destroy. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And for them to take people's names, their faces, their emails, their Facebook pages, even though the majority of it's all incorrect, and try to dock somebody and out somebody like that, they must not honestly believe in freedom of speech and the ability to voice yourself and the freedoms that we should have. And if they're going to constantly try to censor people in this cancel cult type environment, then maybe it's time when people find out who they are, they start doing that to them as well. I mean, sometimes fighting fire with fire works, but in a situation like this, it's not going to solve anything. This page, I'm sorry that I had to take so long to explain this and go through the event step by step, but I wanted to feel like I gave you the truth. And this web page is, we were featured in a web page about a week and a half ago, and it was very positive. They loved how we didn't fight. We got our message across, even though they didn't agree with it, that we stopped the violence from happening when it would start, and they actually gave us praise for that. And now you have this other trash media piece that comes out that constantly tries to tear people apart and don't respect them at all for what they believe in, standing up for what they believe in. It is what it is. This is where we're at. I wanted to cover that. Appreciate you guys staying here for as long as you had. And I just appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Be blessed. And I will be at Home and Square tomorrow. I will be covering what's going on. I will be supporting these ladies. I am not part of their movement. That's all them, but I will support their movement. I can't say that I'm not part of their movement. I am part of their movement, but I'm not part of what created their group or does their events or anything like that. I just show up as support, and if they need something from me, I'll do my best to give that to them. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Have a good night. And that was the honest, true, 100% coverage of what happened instead of the lies that this other page and whoever these names are, I don't know where they got them from, but they need to do better. They're not doing their homework. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.